Welcome to Church Jams Now, the podcast where three former youth group kids and current music nerds deep dive into Christian music from the 90s and 2000s. I am, of course, your co-host, Kylan Savage. With me, as always, is Mr. TJ Smith.
Mr. TJ Smith.
Oh, do you have a stutter? Are you okay?
I'm good.
And our beautiful producer, Josh Olson.
Hey, guys.
Hush,
Yeah,
guys,
he's beautiful.
Stop.
Wow, how beautiful.
See,
Oh,
I
thanks.
agree.
Wait, did you just hush our guest?
No,
No, he's just a regular guy.
he's just a regular guy. We don't have a special guest. We have a
But
regular
I thought
guy
you
this
offered
week.
you offered me to be the co-host this week.
Yes, our other co-host is, of course,
Oh,
Mr.
nice.
Abishai Collingsworth.
Oh, this is a surprise to me. Oh, I can't
Yeah.
Whose job am I taking?
Who do you
Everyone's.
want? You can take mine. I quit, actually. I have to go pee,
Alan
so
quits.
I'm going to quit. You guys got this, right?
wait. Yep.
All right,
Totally.
good luck.
Cool. Abishai, take it away.
Who's going to be the father to your child?
I don't think he's quitting like life. I think he's just quitting the
No.
I'm
podcast.
just quitting the podcast. I do really have to pee, though. And
You're like-
I stepped off screen
You're
for
like, I don't even.
a second. And I was like, man, should I actually go
And
pee?
then
It's like I should.
And then it
I
got
should,
existential.
yeah.
I don't even want to be around anymore.
It's like, I don't want to do this.
It's a lot of responsibility.
So, okay, if we sound a little punchy, it's because we just got done talking to Abishai in an episode that, Josh, you got to tell me, is the interview coming out first, or is
I
this
think it'll
episode
probably
coming-
already be out.
Okay,
So
so
hopefully
people
you've already
will-
heard our introduction with Abishai.
you heard how
Yeah.
awesome our interview
Which
was.
is why he's just a regular guy now.
Yeah, he's just a regular guy, not
Just a co-host.
special at all.
He's the new Kylan.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, look at this regular ass room.
For the listeners, there's a bed. There's some curtains. Is that
There's
a
some
box of
baby
Chips
gifts.
Ahoy behind you?
No, there's some baby gifts.
Oh, baby gifts.
Ah,
Okay.
baby gifts.
All regular stuff.
Babies love Chips Ahoy.
Yeah, they do.
Abishai, you
Waddles,
wanted
too.
advice? That's like, babies love Chips Ahoy is the best father advice I can give you.
Oh, look at
that's
those
cute.
onesies.
All right.
Oh, those are great.
Very cute.
I feel like I'm at
Solid.
the baby shower.
So, are we here to talk about August Baby's Red?
August Baby's Red. So we're gonna talk about August Burns Red. That's
Yeah,
a
we
fun
are.
band. We're doing our month of metal. I've decided.
Woo!
We did a month of metal last year. I think we're doing a more than 1 month though this year. We're talking about a lot of metal.
Metal.
So for people that did not listen to Abishai's interview, Abishai, can you explain who you are very briefly?
Good luck, buddy.
I'm just a guy.
You're just a guy.
I'm just a guy. I play drums.
There you go.
Is that what you want me to say?
I can't believe I have to walk you through this.
I'm just a guy. I don't know how to do this. I'm not a celebrity.
You play
You gotta
drums
teach me.
for
You gotta teach me.
for what band? Z band.
What are they called again?
Britney Spears.
Richard.
Britney Spears,
Um,
Project 69, August Burns Red. I think I don't know.
I currently play drums for a band called Wolves at the Gate and
Cool.
sometimes Project 86.
Cool. So when I first contacted you, I basically told you like, hey, what are some records that you would have a really good time talking about? And you brought us Messengers by August Burns Red. And I'm really curious why this record?
This was the first record that I ever pre-ordered with my own money.
Oh,
There
nice.
you go.
I think this record came out 06 or 07.
07, yeah.
07.
07. And their first record came out, Thrill Seeker, and that was a very like defining for me, like as a drummer, like when I heard that record in the metal world, that was like that brain explode.
Well, I feel like they were huge in general for like Christian metal kids.
Yeah. I think it was the first band of that kind in the Christian genre.
Mhm.
I don't think I'd heard another band like that. And so when they announced that they were having that next record come out, me and our bass player, the overseer, like we're like, oh, we have to. That was the first record I ever pre-ordered. I don't think I've ever actually pre-ordered another record.
It's the
since
only
The
record.
only
you've
record.
ever
then. It
pre-ordered.
might be the only record I've ever pre-ordered.
Wow.
Wow.
So this is like
So-
a big record, a big defining record for you.
Yeah, like, especially early on drumming career, this was huge for me.
And this
I mean,
was
that makes
like
sense.
back in the days when you pre-ordered a record, and a lot of times they didn't ship like ahead of time, and then like if you didn't get it in time, you're just like, oh, I can't hear this music because it wasn't on streaming. Like you just were stuck. Like
Exactly, you were waiting for the physical CD. You couldn't just like, oh yeah, we'll listen to it on Spotify now. Like while I wait for this, it's like you couldn't listen to it.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that happened to me with the Anti-Mother from Norman Jean, but it took like a full week past its release date. It was like, I wish I would have just bought it at the store. Like it's there right now. I could listen to it, but I'm waiting for this to come in the mail.
That's exhausting.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a real like crapshoot. I feel like even now, like especially with the vinyl, like sometimes you'll get it early if you do a pre-order, and then other times it'll be weeks.
But at least like it's on streaming,
Crazy.
or they'll like email you the digital download or something like
Right.
that. But this was
right. It was a different age.
it was
The
so
Stone
different.
Age.
So different.
Well, yeah, I think most or like at a certain time, certain vinyls would come with that digital whatever QR code, and you could listen to it online.
Right.
Which it also counts as an additional stream for a band. Which I don't know if you knew that, but
As like
Really?
additional like
I think it
scan
counts, like,
for
if you
like
buy,
the
like-
sale.
for sound scans, if you buy a CD, it just counts as one. But I think a vinyl counts as 2 or 3 because it comes with like the digital, and
Oh, so
they
that counts too.
physically count it. Yeah, so it's really great when people buy vinyls from bands. So
Nice.
That's super
You
cool.
heard it here, folks.
you heard it here from me. Don't quote me because I have no idea. I'm just a regular guy.
Abishai, the
That's
regular
going to
guy.
be the headline in absolutepunk.net. Regular guy, Abishai
Regular
Collingsworth,
guy.
talks about sound.
I hope so. That's all I am. I'm just a regular guy. I don't want to be anything more than that.
So I want to hand it over to our beautiful producer Josh to give us a little history of this band of August Burns Red. This is our first ABR record we're covering, right?
It is our first ABR record.
Crazy.
Damn.
It's the first record I think that we're covering with someone that's like toured with the band. Too.
That's, like,
so this
played
is
with it,
pretty
yeah.
cool. Yeah, so that's also
really
pretty
Yeah,
cool.
so
feel free
Abishai,
to jump in at any time.
Yeah, feel free to shut down any of Josh's quote unquote facts.
Most of the time, I just throw in wrong stuff to see if Kylan or TJ will call me on it, and they never do.
No, we don't.
You actually can.
won't.
Yeah. The listeners do. It's fine. All right, so I'll go over some brief basic information about the band and the record. August Burns Red is originally from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Lancaster. Gosh.
Oh, yeah, Lancaster. Okay. Wow.
The first
My
round.
first thing I've done.
First one.
He's done. He's done.
I lost. All right. That's what I get.
Good try, Josh.
Lancaster. What was it? Lancaster? Lancaster.
Yeah.
Whoops. My bad. Their careers from 2003 to present, they're still going and going very, very strong. I think they have a new record coming out. I think it'll be out by the time this episode is out,
Yeah.
but it's coming out very soon from the time we're recording this. The members of the band at this time are Jake Lures on lead vocals, and this is his first release with the band, actually. And what's interesting is this is their third release and their third vocalist for their releases. They had an EP with one vocalist, then they had Thrill Seeker with another vocalist, and then that vocalist left, and then they did Messengers with Jake, and then he's been in the band ever since.
I didn't
And
know
obviously, it's working really well for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got JB Brubaker on lead guitar. He's been in the band the whole time. Brant Rambler has been on rhythm guitar from the whole time. And then Dustin Davidson on bass. This is his first record with the band, and he's still in the band to this day. And then, of course, the drumming extraordinaire of Matt Greiner, who is the founding member, has been in the band the entire time as well.
Nice.
This album was released June 19th of 2007. So at the time of recording, it's 16 years old, or it's turning 16 years old, actually. That's my bad. What's interesting is that, because especially that you play with Project 86, is that in 2007 and 2009, August Burns Red and Project 86 released albums on the same day as each other. So Rival Factions and Messengers released on June 19th of 2007. Pick Fence Cartel and Constellations released on July 14th of 2009. Same day.
Wow.
Yeah, very interesting. for
The more you know.
people like me out there and no one else.
Abishai, this is Josh's whole thing.
I was like, this is so cool.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh, I
No,
was the
it's
guy
great.
that was like getting both those records on the same day. Then I'm like, oh, cool. I got Augsburg's
Yeah.
Red and Project 86 on the same day. This is their
love
second
that for you.
album. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
This is obviously on Solid State Records. It was produced by Tu Madsen, who's a Danish producer and musician. He's produced a lot of bands, but none I really recognized. So I'm assuming they're mostly heavy and European. So I don't have anything else to add about him. He's got a very extensive Discogs credit list. What I will mention for credits, though, is that, and I will do this from now on at any point in the podcast, but credits for this record of A&R was John Dunn and mastered by Troy Glessner.
Hey, we
Let's
talked to them.
go.
We talked to
Yeah,
them.
we
We know
did.
them.
We know them.
Friends of the show. You can say friends of the show. I
Friends
feel
of
like
the
that's
show.
a podcast thing.
I think they are, yeah.
That counts.
Yeah, I would say they are at this point, you know?
Definitely.
Do you
Good
think
times.
they'd claim you as friends though if you asked them on?
No, not at all. They
Oh,
don't
okay.
remember my name.
I was just curious.
Neither
They'd
of
be like,
them
"Who?"
remember my name. I guarantee you. But we will call them friends of the
But
show.
we're calling them friends of the show.
Exactly.
They were
I
awesome.
love that. I love that for you.
Abishai loves everything for us.
He does. He's just a regular guy.
He's such
He's
an
just a
agreeable,
regular guy.
regular guy.
Regular guy, Abishai.
What more can you ask?
It even rhymes.
I want to say that charts and performance, this album charted and performed very well. It was number 1 on Billboard Christian and number 81 on Billboard 200. So
That's wild.
big
Nice.
record. Very big record. Obviously, it has some really big songs for them. But only like some of their bigger songs like Composure, Backburner, Truth of a Liar, but only eclipsed because of their newer stuff, because August Burns Red is continuing to be extremely popular and has only... So this was a very popular record, but I think it's only not their most popular because they have other subsequent popular records because they're just killing it, you know? Good for them. So that wraps up my research.
Cool. Thank you, Josh. I feel like I never I don't thank you enough for doing the research. I feel like because I'm
Aw,
always in the
thanks.
process of like moving things along, I just say, okay, that's great, and move on. But I do want to actually take a moment to like thank you for the amount of research.
Oh, thanks. I enjoyed
That you
doing it.
do.
I hope people out there enjoy it as well.
Let's acknowledge Josh.
Yeah,
Everybody.
I would acknowledge Josh and thank him, but he mispronounced Lancaster.
Lancaster.
I think is what it's called. I'm pretty sure.
All you guys.
So
Yeah,
I can't-
Lancaster,
I can't
PA,
think
yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to know comparatively with like other August Burns Red records for TJ and Josh specifically, but I guess also our regular guest Abishai. Where does Messengers fall? Like now that they've like come out with a bunch of other records, like how do you feel about this record in general?
And that you've toured with them.
Yeah, compared to like the rest of their discography.
I'll go first because my answer is easy. August Burns Red. This is going to be some heresy for most of the people listening to this episode, probably. But August Burns Red is August Burns Red is August Burns Red. They're great. I love them, and a lot of their stuff sounds the same to me, and I like it all. And I have a hard time distinguishing, to be honest. So
I get that.
I liked this album. The little bit of it that I have listened to, I don't think I've heard it all the way through, to be honest. So somebody had to be that guy. It can't be regular guy. It can't be Josh. It can't be Kylan. So it's me.
Why
I'm
can't
that
it be
guy.
me? Because TJ, I'm that guy with you.
Whoa, really?
I'm on the same page as you. Yes, I love August Burns Red. I
This
cannot
is a
tell you.
surprise.
I cannot tell you the name of any song from this record,
What?
or
Okay,
how
cool.
how you differentiate it from any other August Burns Red song.
Cool. Okay, great. That makes me feel a lot better. All right.
Okay.
I'm in good company.
All right.
Right on.
Indie folk boys unite.
Hurrah.
Abishai's very quiet. I feel like I've offended him.
I don't want to be like, oh, me too, guys. But yeah, honestly, after Messengers came out, I think the next record is Constellations.
Constellations, yeah.
Correct.
And that was, to me, that was like fine. The record was like, yeah, cool, whatever. And after that, I just completely lost interest
Right.
because it's the same thing. Growth, but they found what they did and they did it well.
Right.
And they just kept writing those same songs.
Right.
It felt very like, yeah, monotone, I guess. They do it really good.
We lost you. All right,
So
so
God, regular guy Abishai has disappeared, y'all. He's vanished from the pod.
Okay, so you were just in the middle of talking shit about August Burns Red.
Yeah, they're just so bad. No, I think they're a really, really talented band, and yeah, we toured with them 3 times, and they are absolutely perfect. Like they practice so much, and they're all individually very, very talented. But it came to a point for me as like a listener. It got to a it just never felt like there was something unique about their band. They just found what worked for them, and they kind of stayed playing,
Stuck
Right.
with
which
it.
is fine. I think they
Yeah.
have enough of an audience, but for me personally, I kind of lost interest.
Yeah, I get that. What about you, Josh? I mean, I'm curious as between me, TJ, and you as the more metalhead of the three of us. Like,
yeah,
what
sure.
is your
And I feel like
general-
you're definitely the biggest ABR fan. Like,
Yeah, I definitely am of the three of the maybe not the 4 of us, but of the 3 of us, regular guys.
I'm just a regular guy.
Just a regular guy. Yeah. So Messengers was my introduction to ABR, and so obviously like I have a lot of really fond memories of this record and jamming out to it. I actually like Constellations a little bit more. So that's like my favorite ABR record. And then I kept following them all the way up until Rescue and Restore in 2013 was the last record that I like bought on the day it came out by them and listened to a lot like that summer. And then like after that, like just like kind of my taste in music changed. Like I wasn't listening to as much heavy stuff around then. And yeah, I definitely did. Like I've made the joke before that every ABR song is the exact same. And like, it's mostly like in jest, but there is like some truth to that to where it's
right?
they are very similar, and you know that like that's fine. Like obviously their fan base really enjoys that, and they are still like, and like Abishai was saying, I have nothing but respect for them as technically as like musicians because they are unbelievable musicians and seem like all super nice dudes. But yeah, like I was a fan from Messengers to Rescue and Restore. Constellations a lot more than
Cool.
this record. But
Okay.
this record,
Okay.
I say it was my second favorite.
Is your second favorite? Okay, so the big question now, before as we wrap up this part A, is flop or bop predictions. Do we think this record is going to flop or is it going to bop? So Abishai, I just want to clear up a little bit. We all have different flop or bop criteria for what makes an album a flop or a bop. It could be strictly on musical ability, it could be on vibe, it could be on, like for Josh and I think a big part of it is like, do I see myself re-listening to this record at least like once a year? And so I'm curious, do you think this album is going to be a flop or a bop?
That's yeah. It's hard to answer that so cut and dry because yeah, musical change.
It's
Our
hard
musical
to
taste changes,
right.
but I think I would listen to this record like once a year just
Yeah,
for nostalgia purposes
for
because
sure.
it's more personal for me. Like I said, like it was the first record I ever really cared enough about to use my own
To
money to
pre-order, yeah.
order it. And then once we had the opportunity to tour with them, that like everything kind of came together. I'm like, oh, this is a band that I really look up to and respect.
Right.
And that would be the only record that I would go back to of theirs to listen to. Like all the rest is, I hate to say it, it's kind of a wash to me. But
Right.
like that record in particular, I would go back and
Listen,
listen to.
I like that. Okay, so we got
All right,
one
so that's a
bop
bop.
prediction. Josh, can you go ahead and say? I mean, I think I know the answer, but
Yeah, I'll say it's a bop. Like
Okay,
I want to
it's
have
gonna be a
fun.
bop.
It's got a lot of nostalgia in it. With me, it's gonna remind me like of jamming to this record in high school, and I'm gonna enjoy it for that reason, and probably for some other reasons as well.
Sweet. Okay, TJ, what do you think? As our most ABR skeptic, or ABR agnostic.
Just say it's a flop. Gosh.
I'm just an average ABR, y'all. That's all I am.
Average Burns Red.
Yeah, average Burns Red is me. And I will averagely admit that it's gonna flop because I'm, like I said, like so much of their discography is what it is. I like it fine. It doesn't move me. It doesn't blow my mind. I can respect and appreciate their technical skill, and because it just doesn't land in certain ways that y'all know I care about to make a record a bop, I'm gonna have to flop it. But
Okay.
I hope to be wrong. And
Right.
that's the other reason I kind of like preemptively predicting a flop for myself, is because then
You like
if
to
I end
surprise
up liking
yourself.
it,
Right.
and it's a pleasant surprise if I bop it. So we'll see.
I get that.
Fingers crossed.
I get that. As opposed to me, who I feel like I have the most bop predictions to like flop final verdicts.
Assessments, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, okay. Speaking of that, I think this is going to be a bop. I think it's going to be,
Okay.
like I said, I don't know where this fits for me in terms of August Burns Red in general. I do remember really digging this album, but like I said, I can't name a single song. All of their songs kind of sound the same to me. But as we listen to this record over the next week, I feel like I'm in the zone to like really, really enjoy this. So I'm gonna predict a bop.
Nice.
So yeah, okay. I'm excited about this. So we're gonna take a break. It's gonna be very short for the listeners. For us, of course, it's gonna be a week. We're gonna listen to 2007's "Messengers" by August Burns Red, and we'll see you on the other side
With regular guy Abishai.
with regular guy Abishai.
See you on the other side.
I can't believe we didn't give Abishai a baby shower gift on behalf of Church Jams Now.
I know
Yeah,
we
what the
should
heck?
have.
Well, I mean, she's not due till August, so we got time.
So
But you know
unprofessional.
what? Even though we don't have a gift, we do have a gift. Abishai, if you go to colliderecords.com and type in Church Jams Now, you will
This
get
isn't
20%
even the
off
ad.
your purchase. This is now officially
How
our
meta.
ad for
Dude.
Collide.
Dude, that's a
Oh my
dream
God.
come true. That might be the best gift that anyone has ever gifted me.
Oh, we did it, guys.
That's
We
the gift that
changed his
keeps on giving.
20% off your first purchase is the gift that keeps on giving.
Hey guys, this is Josh jumping into the edit to tell you just a little bit more about our sponsor today, Collide Records. We're talking about August Burns Red this episode, and I just wanted to tell you that they have tons of August Burns Red CDs and vinyls in stock. They've got multiple variants of what looks to be like the last couple August Burns Red records with tons of CDs in there and a couple of stuff on sale, so definitely go check it out. And since this is Abishai's episode, I have to bring up that they have Wolves at the Gate Eulogies on vinyl, a double vinyl that is, in the Ember pressing. So if you want a double vinyl of Abishai going to town on the drums to spin that looks great, go to colliderecords.com and use the promo code ChurchJamsNow to get 20% off your first order. Let's get back to the show.
Abishai, well, thanks for coming back again 2 weeks in a row. Appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of forced me to, so I mean, I have to.
I did. I tricked you. I did trick you, asking you if you wanted to do it, and then I was like, "Surprise! It's two times."
nights.
Double header. I feel twice as special.
Yeah, exactly. So,
As you
welcome
should.
back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed those advertisements. Hope you enjoyed listening to our voices more.
ads.
Sell you stuff. So we're all back, guys. Abishai is back. He didn't bail in between weeks of listening to August Burns Red.
Hooray.
He isn't entirely sick of us yet. So thanks for coming back, Abishai.
Yeah, I brought my co-pilot too.
Oh, perfect.
He turned his back on you guys, but
That's fine. I get it. I would too.
For the listeners, is that a werewolf? Is that a giant grizzly bear? What's
it's
happening back
it's my emotional support land seal.
there? Got it. What's your
love
land
it.
seal's name?
Name's Samson.
Samson.
Good name.
Well, we
That's a
will
good-
have to have Samson.
a good
weigh
seal
in
name.
on
He's
messengers.
he's a pretty good doggo.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Oh, he's a dog. Oh, it's a dog. I thought you
I'm
said it was
Not a
seal.
land
I'm
seal.
sorry.
Okay.
My mistake.
Yeah, with the land seal, aren't seals the dogs of the sea?
Don't worry, Josh. We will cut all this. I've got notes. I've got edit points.
Perfect.
Are you not aware of the movement?
Wait, this is the land seal movement, and it's real, and it's coming to a.
I'm cutting
that's
it.
a
All right,
callback.
all right, let's just start it over. Let's just burn it
cake
down and
near
start
you.
over.
Perfect.
Welcome
No
back
way.
to Church Jams Now. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna keep all of that. Depends on who edits the episode.
I'm just gonna say that if anyone thinks that we just fake that we do them weeks apart, you will notice a drastic difference in my voice. And
Yeah,
yeah,
you sound a lot more like
happened?
sultry.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
little
what
rough.
happened,
up
Josh?
Better doing this over Zoom.
there.
What happened, Josh? Why are you sick?
Dude, all this metal happened to me. I started just
Oh,
screaming like Jake Lures, and it just blew my voice out.
There you go.
You screaming along in the car?
Oh yeah, you have to, right? That's what you do.
Yep, that is the correct way to
Yep.
listen.
So I'm sure this will be really wonderful to listen to. So apologize to all you listeners out there.
If you speak like a little bit lower, it sounds kind of sexy.
Josh already does sound pretty sexy.
Yeah, I feel like you'll have like a
I don't think
like
my
a
voice
James
can
Earl
hold
Jones
up.
kind of vibe
Ooh.
for this.
It's like,
I
part two.
have you now.
now coming back.
Exactly.
Messengers, I am your father. Okay, let's dive into 2007's Messengers. Oh, do you have any general thoughts about the album before we go track by track? Does anybody have anything they want to say about it without giving your hand away?
I want to say
Okay.
that if TJ bops his record, I will be extremely surprised.
Me too. Yep.
I will put money that he flops it.
All right.
I'll take
I
those
mean,
Do
odds.
you want to make this interesting?
You can't change your vote because there's money involved, TJ. That's
The only
let's
thing
see.
I have to say is when we write demos, sometimes at the very end of a demo, it's just like ideas, and we call it the riff graveyard.
yeah.
And some of these songs sound like a riff
That's
graveyard.
great.
That's what
Yeah.
I'll say.
That's great.
It's
I
just
love
like
that.
good.
part after part after part, and like no real fluidity or cohesion. It's like, how do we get from this section to this section? Like, it doesn't even need a transition. Let's just go into
Let's
it.
just do it. Yeah.
Just
Yeah, I had
shred
some
it.
questions about that throughout my notes. So
That's
All right.
that's all I have to say. Riff graveyard.
Riff
All
Graveyard. I like
I
that.
like it.
That goes with the artwork, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My only thing I had to say is last night, for any of our listeners that have listened to the Maylene episode, you know that my 2-year-old daughter loves to play Mosh Pit. And so this week I've been listening to this record with her playing Mosh Pit. She loves it, first off.
Oh,
Incredible.
Stone Cold Bop from Willow Savage. 2, she had a
Perfect.
complete meltdown last night because we had to stop playing Mosh Pit because it was like 11:30 and way past bedtime.
That's
And
a
so we had to
true
stop
metal
moshing, and
fan.
she like full on, like I'll probably post a video. I have her just melting down. I want to play Mosh Pit, just actual tears. I was like, that is metal as fuck, dude. I
Yeah.
get it.
It is.
So, hey guys, let's start. Track number 1, Truth of a Liar.
It's a strong start.
It is a strong start. It is what I like to classify as pirate metal. That's like the vibe I
Yes.
get from this intro.
There's a
Kind of
lot
sounded
more
like
of
he
that
was
on this
saying
record.
arg.
Yeah.
Like that first consonant was like arg.
There's something about that swingy, like it sounds like the Pirates of the Caribbean score.
Mm-hmm.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Like kind of waltzy thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's another song on here that I can't wait to get to because I know that has a more piratey part. So that'll be fun.
There were some pirate parts I was here
It's a
for.
lot.
right into the next section.
Yeah. Okay. So, Abishai, what you were saying before we started, that's like my biggest note on this song is like, I think there are too many ideas. Like, I like a little more groove, but it's just like, okay, here's like 45 seconds of this idea. And then here's like a minute and a half of this idea. And then a minute of this idea. And I'm just like, I'm left with a little bit of whiplash. And it makes a 4-minute song feel like a 12-minute song to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kylan, I gotta give you props for bringing that up in the first song because we talked about this during our Anathello episode, and you said something very similar many times. You referenced that as an issue for that album.
Correct.
No spoilers, but that was just something you mentioned.
Yeah.
And so listening to this album, I was like, Kylan better be consistent because this is
Yeah,
like,
no, I had the same
maybe
problem.
more ADD,
For sure.
And I just really appreciate that. That was like, that's one of the first things you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
With your notes. I was like,
Hey,
yes.
I didn't just shit on the Anathala record like just because.
No, I know. I know. Because I had the same listening experience. I was like, this is jarring and like whiplashy.
Yeah.
So
I will say in this riff too, this was the first riff I think our band listened to where the bass player is actually playing every note of the riff.
wow.
And it was like,
That's
oh,
impressive.
bass players should play like
Can
riffs.
yeah.
They can shred, yeah. That's really cool.
Don't have to hold the root note down the whole time.
No.
Yeah,
There is
especially
a
like in metal because usually the guitars are super busy
Right.
and bass players kind of hold the fort down. And I remember hearing some of these really, really fast riffs, and the bass is playing everything.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
There's definitely some sweet, sweet bass on this record.
I would like to ask the only professional musician among us, when you're, since we have one here, when you're writing a song and you run into that issue of, it's
For
Samson.
the listeners, he turned and looked at his land seal.
Samson.
I need people to appreciate the comedic timing that Abishai brings to us.
Yes. So when you have a riff graveyard going on of a song, like what is it that you do to bring that connective tissue in? Are you doing like more guitar parts, or are you doing like drum part? Like what is like the secret sauce that blends those together when you have like riff A, riff B, riff C, but you need something to get in between all those? Like what?
Damn it, Josh.
What are your go-tos, or what? Or how do you do that?
Because I stopped writing notes after like the 5th song. And so then all the rest of my notes, this was the first question I was going to ask to keep the conversation going like an hour into this.
Well,
We're
we
doing
can
it
wait.
now.
We can wait.
No, it's fine.
That's
No. I'm
amazing.
curious. I want to know.
No, I don't think there's necessarily like a formula is the thing. It's each song has a different moments you can tie in together, which we're learning with, like some of these songs. It's like there's nothing that really ties one riff to the next riff. It just kind of has this quick jarring transition and then boom, you're into the next thing. And so sometimes, usually with like in our demos, like if it's a riff graveyard, it's because it's kind of the leftover that didn't make the cut because it didn't fit in with the rest of the song. Like there was nothing that could tie them together. Or if we're stuck on a part, we're like, oh, we really want to have something here, and what we have isn't really working. Maybe we can sift through ideas we've already had and like see if they can fit or how we can make them fit. But that's all a part of it, because I think transitions are like can be tricky because you're like, oh, these two parts are really cool. Do they belong in the same song?
Right.
And sometimes they just don't fit, and then sometimes people try to force it. It's like puzzle pieces. You're like, that clearly doesn't work, but I'm gonna just, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it fit, like because I really like these two riffs and I want them to be in the same song, so I'm gonna make them.
You couldn't find the corner piece, so you just subbed one in.
No, you took a puzzle piece and you start cutting the ends off to make it a corner. You're like, that's clearly not a corner piece, and you're like, well, I just made it a corner piece, so it's gonna be now. But yeah, for us, I think the graveyard ends up being like unused riffs, and maybe they like later on down the road, if we're trying to write a new song, it's like, oh, I really, I came back to this one riff that was really cool. It just didn't work for this song. It's still a really cool riff. We want to use it, so let's just throw it into the next session to see if it's a usable part.
Right.
Yeah, very cool.
That is very cool. Do we have anything else about track 1, Truth of a Liar?
I liked it.
You liked it, TJ. TJ, I want to hear more about that. Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, cool.
I like the song too. I like the part where he says the truth hurts. He says that 3 times, but then like the 4th time he's like, but denial's what will kill you. And like, that's a good part. Like there's a lot of like, lyrically, we'll get into more stuff like that. Whereas like sometimes lyrically, there's not a lot of stuff that stands out, but every now and then you get a good part that stands out. And like, I like that part. But also musically, that is a very memorable moment musically and lyrically in this song. And there's a good amount of that on this record.
I agree. Guys,
Yeah.
is this the shortest amount of time we've ever spent on a track one?
Maybe.
I think so.
I mean, I only have a few other things, but I feel like throughout this whole record, I realize it's made up of really cool moments, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe not necessarily the song as a whole. Like I wrote down a few things, like 'cause I remember like hearing these songs for the first time with like the band that I played in. We're like, oh, that's really cool. Like, oh, we should try to do something like that. And one of the ones that stick out is there's a bass slide in like the second beat of a breakdown. Or maybe it's like in the middle of like it's like like there's moments like that where like you're like, oh, I've never heard someone do that. Usually it's like it's a slide into something.
On the
So to do it in the middle, of it was really cool. And this is one that had like a few odd time signatures. I think there's like a 12, like one of the breakdowns is like 12/8. So it's like it almost feels like it's 3 bars of 4 and it cuts short and then it repeats instead of so like just little moments that we were like, oh, like what about this song is cool that we like, and how can we try to incorporate some of these ideas into music that we write. But
right.
Okay, well, guys, let's move on to track number 2, Up Against the Ropes.
Guys, I have a joke for you.
You do?
I do.
Let's hear it.
Why does Matt Greiner love water parks?
I don't know, Josh. Why?
Because there's a splash zone. Man, dude loves his splash cymbal.
Splash in China, dude.
Yeah.
Truly.
That was really good, Josh.
Thanks.
I'm very proud of you for that.
Thanks. I just noticed, like, in the first 20 seconds of the song, he's just like on that splash cymbal.
Yeah, just back and forth.
I like to think that lyrically this is from the perspective of an empathetic MMA fighter.
That's really good.
Pushed up against the ropes, you wouldn't last another round. I never wished for you to suffer like this. You would not listen. Pushed up against the ropes, you wouldn't last another round. Like, I feel like it's a dude beating the shit out of another dude in the octagon. It's like, I'm sorry.
feeling really bad about it.
I tried to tell you.
I love that interpretation.
It has to be. It can't be anything else, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Man.
I love the guitar line here. For listeners, we're all just jamming out. So
Yeah, we are. I do remember
Great radio.
at like 219, they go into this like really discordant riff or whatever, and I remember like I was pretty fresh into guitar my first year of college, and I was like, I asked Kylan, I was like, Kylan, we listened to ABR one day, and I was like, do you know how they do that? And you're like, I don't know. And then we were like playing Del Sur one day, and I just like found out how you do that, and it's like just basically doing a tritone.
Yeah.
What did you call that note or that chord, that like really dissonant? Did you have a name for it?
I don't know. I just always think of it as like the Norma Jean thing. I just would always just call it the Norma Jean thing.
This part right here. We always called them mud chords.
Mud chord. Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Great.
That's good.
Mud chord. I don't know why. Yeah, it was like, oh, let's put a mud chord on that. But I think that section was really cool to me because I remember it being, that it's in like 7/8, but then the drums do 4/4 on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like every other pass, the 1 is the snare, even though the drums are straight. I always thought that was cool.
That's
That is
crazy.
very cool.
I love having a drummer on for this record.
I know, that's exactly the kind of perspective we needed, because this is like, at a certain point, I just like, I couldn't take more specific notes because it just sort of like, I don't know. August Burns Red has this thing where they're super technical, but it's hard to like connect to all these things. And I just kind of let it wash over me at a certain point. You know what I mean? I'm just like, it's this just kind of wall of sound. I just kind of let it be. Especially because all the songs are so long. They're too long.
They're so long and so many parts.
Exactly.
So many parts.
There's so many parts. It's like, yeah, by the end of this record, I was like starting to have ear fatigue. I was like, yeah, some of the songs I wasn't getting as specific because I was just like, have I heard this? Didn't this song already play?
Yeah, exactly. Like I was listening again this morning and a song started playing. I got like 2 minutes in. I don't remember which song. And then I went and I'm still listening in my ears. I go for my daughter. I go change her diaper. I go get her a cup of milk. I sit back down on the couch and I'm like, okay, oh gosh, I got to write my notes. And I was like, oh no, it's still the same song. It just feels.
And if all of y'all are having like ear fatigue or metal fatigue, can you just imagine what the least metal of us?
Yeah.
You're probably in like a metal wonderland right now. You're like, this is wonderful. I love this. Like you're just in your own world.
I don't know how much you like the Anathala record,
world.
And of just like all the different parts. I thought you would love that. Are you going to be consistent?
It's similar. It's similar in the sense that I'm floating upside down, and all the blood is rushing to my head, and I'm very discombobulated.
I will say though, like, rhythm is definitely not my strong suit in music. So like, I have major respect to the rhythm section of the band, which is honestly most of the band.
Chops, yes.
But just like, and like how they're all staying in time with all the staccato parts, but also how like remember how many like hits is each part. Like that's the thing for me, like with this kind of music, I would just have such a hard time remembering like which part is this the next part now again? Like, because all the songs are, I know they're different when you're like creating them and crafting them. I'm sure like they're a lot more personal and you like know how each part goes, but like if I had to just come in, like if I was just like a fill-in, if I had to fill in for Brent one day, I was like, I wouldn't remember which part was which. Like, is this the part where I hit the dun 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 or do the dun dun dun? Like, I
gosh,
don't know.
you're doing it again. This was another note I had for Abishai later on in the record.
I looked at your notes actually, and
I'm
reading them backwards actually.
Yeah, so Abishai, I am actually like personally curious about that. Like, and specifically like in a super, like when you're doing super technical music, it's a 2-part question. One, like how do you keep track of like all these different parts? Are you like counting consistently? And then specifically like when you're on stage, what kind of mix do you have in your ears to be able to like keep track of everything?
Yeah, so, some parts I have to count out, but that's only for like weird timing parts or parts that like don't feel natural to play. Right. Kind of like, all right, this is unnatural, so okay, this one turns around a little bit earlier, or it's not in 4. And then for the longest time, like I'm a crazy person. I literally just had click and tracks in my ear, and then I had a floor like monitor, like a wedge just with guitars in it.
Wow.
Not by choice, but that's how it worked out until just recently. Wolves like actually invested to a full like in-ear rig, so now I can have a full mix with everything. Nice. Which is sick. But for years, even with previous bands, they didn't have like a full setup, and we didn't have like an audio, nerd in the band. So if we were playing tracks, it was just track panned one way and click panned the other.
Wow.
And then in my
wow.
Nothing. Yeah. So in my ears, all I heard was click and tracks. And then I would pull one headphone like halfway out and put guitars in the monitor just so I could like have a reference. But that's not by choice. And yeah, looking back on it, I'm like that sounds awful to to play that way for so long. It's like it was one of those things that, like, I guess as a drummer, it was like everyone else is going to follow me. So if I get off, we're all off. So if I just have a click and I can just focus on playing the song, in time and correct with what the track like are pushing in the front of house, then everyone else will just follow me. Right. So I just needed to make sure that I was staying on to that. And if I had vocals and guitars, and for some reason they got a little off, and I started following that, then tracks would get off or whatever. So it did feel like at times I remember certain shows just it's not as fun. Like you couldn't get into it because it felt robotic.
Right.
It's like, oh, I can't enjoy this or have fun. I just have to make sure I play to this.
Yeah, you're a machine. Yeah. You're just like keeping things moving forward.
Yeah, I'm just keeping time for the rest of the band because they don't hear the track or the click.
Right.
So it's like if I don't play in time, nobody plays in time. So
that's a lot of like self-confidence.
put a lot of pressure on myself to
Yeah.
It's impressive.
I don't know how you do
How many
it.
times did it go sideways on you? Like what percentage was it like? It didn't work?
Honestly, like there was only a few moments. Okay, so I remember the very first show I played with Wolves at the Gate. I think I told you guys about it last time. We had one day of rehearsal, and that
Right.
first day started the next day, and everything was good. And Steve went to go change something in the session for the show, and I think the whole show was in one session, and all of the tracks were on one. All of the guitar tracks, whatever, were on one track, and the click was on a separate track for the whole set.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, the entire track that had the clicked on it got bumped. Like
Oh
no, got nudged.
literally,
No.
literally the entire the whole thing. So I went to start the show, and it was like 1, 2, 3, 4,
Oh
5.
my god.
Like the click was off from the
that
count,
hurts.
and so I like looked over with this panicked look, and I just looked at Steve, and I was like, "It's off. Like I don't know what to do." And so I tried it again, and I was like, "I guess I'm just gonna click. I'm just gonna click it off and just play without the tracks."
Oh gosh.
And fortunately, like I had practiced. I felt like I knew the songs enough, and I was
Right.
operating on partly adrenaline because I was panicking. Because the show was like a sold out show. I mean it was in Dallas, Texas. I think. I mean, it was like a small club, maybe like 600 people. But that was my first show with them, and I'm just looking around. I'm like, I don't know what to do
Oh gosh.
because these aren't gonna be on. And like I didn't know what they were expecting of me too. So now I feel like they're looking at me like, what did you do to mess this up?
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
no.
my god. That's
Yeah,
wild.
so we played through the first song, and then I go to the second song and try to play it, and it's the same issue. That's when I realized it was the entire
That
session
door.
was
Oh
just
my god.
nudged a little bit, and I was like,
What a nightmare.
oh gosh.
Steve was just like, I'll do this. If he can handle this, he's our drummer.
I think he sabotaged me on purpose. He's like, I'm gonna put him to the test on
Make
the
you
first
rise
show.
to
We'll
the
see.
occasion. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
That's
see.
right.
We'll see what he has. How thick is your skin, boy?
You proved your mettle.
I love that.
Yeah, we still talk about that a lot, but
That's so good. That's such a good story. That was way better than whatever other nonsense I had about this song. So do we have any other notes on Up Against the Ropes?
I don't think so.
Cool. All right, let's move on to track number 3, Back Burner.
This is the ultimate, or one of the ultimate air drumming songs. I remember when I first heard the song.
This is one of my favorites.
There's the pirate metal.
There's
on
the
record.
pirate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's the most piratey on this record, I think.
I also love when things sound super brutal, but then lyrically he's saying like smile because you've got it all. And I get it's like a sarcastic kind of thing, but it's really funny when you hear words like smile or Jesus.
Like at face
And it's like a
value, they're
dude
kind of
that's
like-
just like, yeah, exactly. I always love that.
That's good. I like that.
But this is where I started to have problems lyrically.
Oh.
Yep.
And it's just sort of like, and to be honest, I've listened to this record a ton and I've never had any idea what the hell he's saying, like ever, because it doesn't matter to me usually. But, doing this show, I try to be like a little more like critical and do these types of listens. Oh, is that the first pinch harmonic on the record?
I think so. Yeah.
It was the first one I heard, so I just had to point that out at like
There's not a ton, I don't
119. Okay, so I feel like a lot of these lyrics, like there are one or two really good ideas in there lyrically,
Yep.
but then I feel like a lot of the rest of the songs are just sort of filled with commonly heard phrases or like very like senior in high school, like English lit kind of language. It's
Yeah.
not as bad as Norma Jean was or Josh Scoggin is in general.
Right.
That was my other little note. At 202, that little breakdown before this big breakdown where he's playing on the bells is one of my favorite
Little
moments on the
breakdown
record.
before the big
Yeah, it's a
breakdown.
great.
Yeah,
It's a great
the
spot.
pre-breakdown.
It's like one of my favorite moments on this whole record. Hold on, I'm gonna back it up and listen to that again. Yes.
And with that
That's so
talking
good.
happening over it,
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
so good.
very, like Norma Jean, Me Without You, like it kind of evokes that it's of a time, you know, like
Right.
because like classic metal, you didn't ever have that kind of a moment where it's like spoken word in the middle of a
Right. I love those
pre-breakdown.
moments though. Like I love that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
it's cool. It was a nice break in the dynamic, like the vocal dynamic.
Yeah, because
and
there's
the
not a ton
musical
of vocal
dynamic.
dynamics happening here.
Exactly. So
And
my ears were like, oh, cool, he's talking. This is nice.
Yeah, I picked up on all
can-
those moments too. Any moment where he wasn't screaming, so if he was talking or yelling, there's a distinction between screaming and yelling. And there's
yelling,
a few
yes.
moments where he just kind of yells, and I like those.
Yeah, I like those too.
Okay. Oh, just real quick to just finish my earlier point.
Yes.
I don't know. It just feels like a lot of like, I don't know. Like none of the songs feel like cohesive lyrically. Like they'll start with an idea and then they'll go off in a million different other directions, much like the music.
Right.
Because the song is called Backburner, and then by the end of the song, he's saying, "Slipping on the ice again. You've
Slip
become
on
so
ice.
cold."
Yeah.
I'm just like,
The
what?
metaphors
like,
get real mixed
what are you talking
all
about?
across this album. And it's a little frustrating because it's hard to follow. It's hard to like respect or appreciate the idea in the song and
Right.
engage with it. You want to. Like you want to
Right.
like go on the journey with them, and then when they go a million different directions, it is similar to the sonic whiplash. It's like lyrical whiplash.
Exactly. Like I wish they would just
what
take
are we
one of those
doing?
ideas and just expand on it instead of just like, here's a million things that like kind of sound cool. But
Right.
Can you play the in part? Okay, so I need y'all's opinion. There's
Okay.
I think it's like 309. It cuts
Mm.
out for a second, and there's someone who says something, and for the longest time, we all thought he says "oh shit" right before the last breakdown, but we don't know what he's actually saying. It's very quiet. It's like
okay.
Okay.
it's like bump.
Okay, cool.
And then there's a voice.
Sweet. All right. I'm gonna
See if you
turn
can
it
hear.
up
I think it's
a
at
little bit.
309. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll back up. I'll start at 305. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit in y'all's ears. Just heads up, everybody. I heard it. I heard oh shit. I heard it.
That's what I heard
But-
too. But are we all hearing that because Abishai
Because you
said
said it. I know. You should have asked
So
us
that's-
what we thought before you told us.
I remember I don't know who caught it the first time, but we've thought for the longest time. I was like, he says, "Oh shit," and then, going to the last breakdown.
I
It
mean,
sounds
it would
like
make
it.
sense.
I'm just
I
hearing
don't
it in my
know.
right ear. Hold on. I'm
I
gonna
thought
play
I
it
heard
one-
some like reverse effect on it, so maybe it's like
Yeah. I'm gonna play it one more
backmasking
It did feel
time.
situation.
washy. Like
Yeah, because like the cymbals are like coming in, right? It's like, is it
Mhm.
they got a reversing with the cymbals fading in and something?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just saying "oh," and then the cymbals are going "shh."
the symbols are the
Possibly.
ones with the sailors' mouths.
Yeah, I don't know,
Well,
man. I hear it.
I like
though.
I like to think that's what he's saying. I think it's pretty funny.
Just
But
snug it
like,
in.
just to bury that, like it's like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a big breakdown. Let's bury this
Right.
right
Little
before.
Easter egg.
They're like, we'll
That's
put this in
like,
there. We'll see
uh,
if anyone at Tooth and Nail catches it before they send it out to a family Christian bookstore.
That's like
Exactly.
The what is it? The Kingsman with Louie, where it sounds like he says "fuck" on the mic, like right when the song starts. There's a long history of hiding bad words in songs. I love it. That was a good
Keeping
catch.
the
I
tradition alive.
Just a little lyric candy. Just lyric candies.
That's
Yeah.
great.
This was another one that last breakdown. I remember when they played it live for the first time. Matt Griner like would add little things in the spaces, and it's still every time I hear listen to the record, I hear those parts.
All the little extra parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like dun 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 got it dun got it dun dun, like just
Tyler,
really
can you loop
groovy.
that audio and just like turn that
Yeah.
into a groove?
Bum, bum.
4 bars at
Ba-dum,
least.
dum, bum, ba-dum,
Sure.
ba, ba-da,
We'll
ba-da,
make our
ba-dum,
own
ba-da, ba-dum,
ABR
boom,
record.
ba-dum, boom. Yeah,
No, what
I
I'm
got
going to
you
do
guys.
is I'm going to add that vocal part to our theme song.
Oh, perfect.
That's going to be the very end of our theme song now. It's just going to be Abishai doing that
Mouth drums.
for these episodes for sure.
That's the best.
Okay. Do we have anything
I
else
feel
for
honored.
back burner?
I feel honored.
Good. You should.
Yes.
It is quite an honor. So.
I'm good.
All right, let's move on to track number 4, The Blinding Light. Fun fact for you guys. Even though everyone knows the Manfred Mann's Earth Band version of this, the song was actually written by Bruce Springsteen. That was a joke literally just for
Oh.
Josh. That was just for Josh.
Oh.
I wrote that and I was like, Josh is going to love this.
I was like, Manfred
That was
Mann,
it.
what's coming? What if it
No,
was,
that is, of course,
what if it
Blinded
was
by the Light.
Blinded by the Light cover?
It would be great if it was.
That would be so great. Just like randomly shuffled into this album.
As I always ask TJ this, but anyone can weigh in as y'all are all drummers and I'm not. But are these
I'm a
songs
fake drummer.
all kind of around the same tempo?
I think there are a lot that are. They felt
Give or
very
take.
samey.
Yeah. Same with the guitar tuning too. Like
They're all
just
fast. It's just varied levels of how fast they are.
right.
Right.
There's
Like
no,
this part is slow,
slow-
Josh.
This is the
Do
slow
you know
part.
this
Okay,
part- this-
it's so slow.
It's called a breakup, I think, is what they
A
call
breakup.
it. Because it
Yeah,
hurts.
this
just
isn't
like a
fast.
breakup.
This is slow.
Mhm.
This is the first song that came on when I was like, didn't this song already play?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The very first riff like just oddly sounds so familiar already.
Right.
Yep.
Although I will say this one I think might be my favorite on the album because there's like this kind of
Really?
focused, cleanish guitar
I was gonna say
happening
the clean guitar
with a
tone.
melodic aspect that my
Mhm.
ear can hook into and follow, and it takes me on a sonic journey that I can appreciate and engage with, and then that helped me sort of hook into the lyrics as well. And that was the first time that I was able to do that on this album.
Yeah, like some of
where
these
both
guitar parts, like if
components,
you had
musical and lyrical, were hitting for me.
if you had like clean vocals, this could be like this era, like more of that like under oathy like pop kind of
Right.
stuff like this. Yeah, there's something that
Yes.
like it's not just brutal; it gets really kind of melodic.
Kind of leaning into like
I
screamo.
said, hey, there's a chord progression.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Riff Graveyard, dude. This was another one.
For sure. Yeah, because like I love, I said at 3 minutes, so it's coming up in just a little bit. At 3 minutes, they do this groove that I really love, but I just wish they kept it longer. It's
Yes.
not this part. This
Me
is
too.
still the intro, but they go into this groove in just a little bit that I super love.
Is it the 3/4? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Because this is a bunch of like groupings of 3. I think like
Right.
the riff is in 9, but then I think the part that you're talking about, it's like a 3/4 riff, but the drums stay. It's another one of those ones where it's like the time signatures against themselves, I guess.
The drums are in an even time over the 3.
Yeah,
Over the riff.
I
and
think it's
3?
coming. I think
Interesting.
it's right after this build. It's like it's a 3/4, but the drums stay straight.
Oh yes.
Another pinch harmonic. I do love
yeah,
the
there you
pinch
go.
harmonics. I just can't. It's too much math for me.
It's a lot of math.
It's too much, man. I can't count to 3.
I can't count to
Got
3
him.
over and over and over again while other
Got
people
him.
are like yelling in your
Got
ear.
it. Yeah,
Nine.
you should have your 2-year-old teach you how to count to 3, bro.
She can count to 15, so
Dang.
So yeah, we're gonna do some
Nice.
Dream Theater
Yeah.
stuff later.
That's good. That's real good. TJ, I'm with you. I like this song a lot too. Like this one had a lot of good parts in it, and like
Right.
I was bopping while I was like unloading the dishwasher, and like I was like,
Nice.
this one caught my attention. Like, oh yeah, I like this one because obviously I know like Composure's coming up next. I was like, yeah, let's just get to Composure. But then this happened. I was like, ooh, I like this one a lot too.
Took you by surprise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I felt like this
Cool.
was a good spot for a 5-minute song. It's track 4, not maybe track 2 of Up Against the Ropes.
Right.
Mm. Yep.
Still, it was really long, but
Agreed.
it was kind of at this point that I just like gave in. I was like, all right, we're doing the metal
This is
thing.
what we're doing.
So, yeah, my notes get
Also,
a lot.
did any-
Until 11th hour. Oh, sorry.
Mm,
Did any of
And
y'all
then
know
they-
the band Still Remains?
yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So this song was one that I was like, because I was kind of into Still Remains for a minute, and like this song reminded me of some of their stuff, where it's just kind of brutal driving and a little longish. Like a lot of their songs felt like metal ballads, kind of like a lot of their
Right.
songs, and this one felt like it fell in that category as well, which I think is why I liked it, because it was like taking me back to my Still Remains days when I was a metal kid for 2 seconds.
For 2 seconds.
Yeah, just two.
You weren't.
Count them.
just
Can you count to 2, Kyle?
You were counting those. So yeah.
oh my god.
Got it.
Zuber
All right.
metal.
I do have a lyric note on this song
Good.
because he says they were born with the silverware clenched in their teeth, which I'm like, is this like a play on like born with a silver spoon? in
Silver
your
spoon.
mouth?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay,
But I
so you
don't-
know
I
that
didn't
phrase,
quite
but
get
you
the
don't.
metaphor.
You don't know the phrase. Your dance card is full.
Well, I do now.
They're both. Yeah, I think that it is a play on that silver spoon, but it's metal, so you got to clench it in your teeth.
So
You
yeah,
gotta
silverware.
clench it.
Not
It's
silver
more
spoon.
poetic, but metal.
More poetic, but metal.
Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't quite get how the
Poetically
how the
metal.
metaphor worked with the rest of the song lyrically. That's why I was like,
It doesn't.
is that what
That's
he's
the
doing?
thing.
Okay.
That's the thing. I don't think it does.
That's why I was confused about it. Yeah.
I think
It
it's
just has to be
kinda the-
clever.
yeah, just
Yeah,
like
it
it
is
just has to
clever.
be clever, like witty little. It's almost like quotes that are very familiar, but you kind of rearrange them a bit to make it like more unique or
Right.
personal. But it's still like when you hear it, you're like, oh, that feels familiar to me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do after this. I'm gonna go on Chat GPT and see if Chat GPT can write some metal lyrics for me.
Compare it to August
Yeah.
Burns Red.
Exactly.
Do you guys trust robots?
Sometimes.
Implicitly.
All right, ChatGPT, write lyrics for a metal song about Patreon and the style of August Burns Red. Sorry, I'm just doing this now so I don't forget. Okay, this is pretty good. ChatGPT is saying, I said, write lyrics for a metal song about Patreon and church jams now in the style of August Burns Red. Our passion fuels the fire to create, to inspire, but the industry's a mess. We need a way to progress. Enter Patreon, our savior, a platform for our labor. Supporters join our cause, our music, their applause.
Wait, was that a lost verse from Composer? Is that in the lyric graveyard?
That's in the
I think
lyric
The
graveyard.
lyric graveyard, yeah.
It rhymes too much. It can't be a real metal song.
true.
AI doesn't
That's
understand metal. So let's move on to track number 5, Composure. So is this the big song?
This is the big
On the
kahuna
record?
on this record.
One of the big ones, I would say.
Cool. I wasn't aware of that, but I love this song. This might be
It's
my
so
favorite
good.
song. It's probably basic, but it's my favorite song on the record.
I remember trying to learn this specific drum part, and then I ended up writing a different drum part, and that was like, I don't know if it was the Overseer or the band before the Overseer, and
The
the
Thesis?
song started like that. Yeah, the Thesis, exactly. You remember? I feel honored. You want an autograph?
I do. I have the thesis sticker somewhere. So
Oh god.
That was such a rough band name for people with lisps, though.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you tried to learn this song and you ended up writing another song.
Yeah, I was trying to learn it. I spent like a lot of time trying to learn it, and I couldn't figure it out. But I ended up something else was birthed, which is it ended up being a really cool part that I really liked, and a song started that way. It was like a really like energetic intro,
That's right.
and I don't think anybody has like listened to it like, oh man, it's got ripped off August Burns Red. I hope not, but it was like a cool enough part, kind of resembled that
That's cool.
intro a bit.
Yeah.
Hey, no judgment.
That's
Josh
cool.
and I started a band that the entire band ripped off Maylene and the Sons of Disaster.
That was our whole
So,
thing.
That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
So
I like to think of all of this as homage. You know?
Yeah. 356, right? Open 356. That's all
Oh, yeah.
Maylene
Oh,
was.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That was our whole thing.
It's 100% every song we wrote.
That was what it was. Kellen McGregor coined us the best, or just a Maylene cover band, best Maylene cover band in Texas.
It's true.
Love that.
That was us.
I loved when he yelled in this song. This song in general, I feel like, because I do remember this song. This felt like a big, August Burns Red obviously wasn't like the first Christian metal band by like a long shot, but at least for me, like it felt like this song in particular getting the amount of exposure that it did. I feel like with a specific type of metal fan and like metal fandom, I feel like brought a level of legitimacy to quote unquote Christian metal. You know what I mean? Because then I feel like
Yeah.
for the next like 5 years after this, most of the like super heavy bands that you would go see live, like at least one of the bands on the lineup was like a Christian band. You know what I mean? So it felt
Yeah,
like a really
right.
big moment for that culturally of like, oh, hey, we can be Christian and we can get fucking heavy. Yeah, exactly.
We can shred.
Yeah.
We're Christian and we shred.
No big deal.
We shred because he bled.
That's good. Is that going on the next Wolves at the Gate record? It should.
I'm like reading.
Yeah. I'm going to put it in the lyric graveyard.
in the lyric
Perfect.
graveyard.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll go dig around for it in the bones.
That's great.
We rock because he was the rock.
No, Striper already did that.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
that's Striper.
Yeah, that's
Striper
a Striper
already did it.
reference.
You sound like my old youth pastor.
Rock for the rock, dude.
Rock
Jam
for
for
the
the
That
land.
literally is a
Rock,
Striper
rock.
lyric. I'm not joking.
That is?
Yeah.
Rocking for the one that is the rock.
Yeah,
Yes.
Rocket. Yeah.
Yep.
Striper already
Verbatim.
did it, man.
They did it. They did it in like 86. Yeah.
Just like Taylor Swift didn't
Brilliant,
know that
man.
August Burns Red already did Shake It Off.
That's true.
It's the opening lyric on this song, and she ripped it off 7 years later, y'all.
She did.
Real.
Was that what that
2014.
lawsuit was about? I know there was a
think
lawsuit
so.
about Shake It Off.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Swift versus August Burns Red. It was a good song. I liked it. It was my favorite.
Yeah, I was thinking this is like a parallel to our Bless the Martyr episode where it's like a lot of the songs kind of just are doing their own thing, but this one like feels very like, and maybe it's just because we've heard it the most, kind of like a Memphis Will Be Laid to Waste thing, but
Right.
this one feels like it has the most cohesion and direction and like start to finish, because it like crescendos really well at the end. It has a lot of really memorable parts, like the more and more your demeanor looks like quicksand, which I don't know what that means, but it sounds awesome.
Means your demeanor's sinking.
Oh, that's
into the
good. There you
graveyard.
go.
I don't
Alright.
know.
No,
I don't know
that
what
works.
means.
I like that. I like that. That's really good.
No, we're just gonna defer to you as an expert
Yep.
in everything. That's why you're on this episode.
Objectively.
That's why you picked this record. Yeah, because you're the expert on it.
Oh, Josh, buddy, you sounded so sexy at the beginning, and now you sound like you're dying.
I'm losing it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Are you
In the
okay?
lyric
I'll
graveyard.
have to get more tea.
We're gonna have to go find Josh in the graveyard later.
Leave me in the lyric graveyard, guys.
All right, we got anything else for composure? We're like not even. Are we halfway through this record? No.
I think that might be halfway.
I think
Yeah.
after this it'll go really quickly.
Well, if the last song was in 18, however many minutes long, it would be. So let's move
But
on
yeah,
to
wait,
track number.
I-
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Oh,
sorry,
TJ does.
sorry,
TJ, you go
everybody.
first.
I was just gonna say
don't rush.
lyrically, this one I appreciate it, even if I don't know if it totally lands the plane. I like it because it feels like a really encouraging and like hopeful message.
I like that a lot.
Obviously, it's kind of talking around suicide and like self harm and that kind of stuff. So the really encouraging tone of the song and the way, kind of like you said, Josh, like musically it crescendos really well, and it also like gets very hopeful and encouraging. And I really appreciated that about it, and it didn't feel too like campy and like hokey in some of the ways the other songs did that were kind of like you said, Callan, just like cool phrases, just
Let's
slapped
just
together
throw every
with no
metaphor
rhyme
at
or
the
reason.
wall. Yeah.
Yeah, this one felt a little more like intentional and like there was a through line, which I appreciated, which also might be why it was a big track for them. Like it resonated for
Yeah.
Makes sense why it was the single.
Right. That was all I had.
Cool.
Great stuff.
All right, well,
Just
let's move on. Track number 6, Vital Signs.
It is the shortest song on the record.
That's what I was gonna say. That makes it close to my favorite. If it wasn't,
I
for
really like
Composure,
this one because it was
this would
short.
be my favorite. Yeah. Welcome to the show, Abishai. That's like my whole thing. No song needs to be over 3 minutes long.
This is the point in the record where I just started writing discussion topics for us to have
Yeah.
as well. Specifically, it's not related to this song specifically, but I talk about it in other ones. But Abishai, do you have a preference on how your drums are panned in like drummer's perspective or audience perspective?
Oh, great question.
I think drummer's perspective, but that's just because it's rude to hear like a floor tom in your left ear and a
Yes.
rack tom in your right ear.
Ugh. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
But I guess I haven't really, I don't like live or breathe that, and I don't produce music, so sometimes I defer to the producer. But if I had my preference, it is very odd to hear it flipped like that, or like hi hat in the right ear, and
Mhm.
yeah,
It'll throw me. Like if I'm listening to a mix and I'm like, why is that weird? Like why is that drum in a weird place?
Yeah, you can't
spatially?
air drum to it.
It distracts me.
Is it so? But that's not something that you say like on the Wolves records. You're like, I want to be panned. Drummer's perspective.
no, I've never really had like any like
don't weigh in?
overtly, like I'm not that I don't weigh in. I'm not like, I don't have any like strong opinion to be like, oh, it has to be this way. Like if they're like, oh, what do you prefer? I'm like, oh, I prefer this. But if he has a different idea in mind, and like if the producer or the mixing engineer has a different idea in mind and then sends it over, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is just too weird. Like I think it should be flipped to drummer's perspective. But I think most of the people that we've worked with like have it already panned drummer's
Right.
perspective, so I don't even have to mention anything.
Mm.
So
That's nice that they just kind of get it intuitively.
yeah, I think it makes it easier for me. We're like already on the same page and we don't have to fight that. But I don't know if we've ever worked with someone who had like a really, very like dead set on like, oh, it has to be like, I only mix records this way.
Right.
So we never had to deal with that,
That's
fortunately.
nice.
I have one last note about this song. It feels like a trope, but even though I can't think of another specific instance, but I absolutely love church bells in metal songs.
Yes.
Like
It
when the
works.
I had the
breakdown like
same-
on the one, I just like, yes, more church bells, please.
I had the same. Yeah. The big hits.
Uh-huh.
So sick.
And then it's got that like pad choir in here.
Wire,
This song is really
That's
good.
pretty cool.
This is definitely my second favorite. But just
And it's
those big
nice
hits
that
on those bells.
And it's nice that it's short, like
So short.
you can appreciate it. You can get in, enjoy it, get out.
That's right. That's my whole thing.
Also the line,
Yeah.
I've collapsed its lungs, calloused its heart, and sucked the life out of this for all of Sunday to see, feels almost awesome. It's like so close. I want to workshop
Right.
it a little bit, But I like the idea, like for all of Sunday to see. Like they don't
For all
say
of Sunday to see.
they're not very like on the nose. Like this, like the Sunday part, just kind of they're like, I'm gonna set this here. I'm gonna leave that there. Do what you will with it. You know,
Right.
it's kind of nice. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I will say, like, maybe because this song is shorter, like overall, lyrically, this one seemed the most cohesive. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I feel like it's obviously like it's talking about like a church, and then you have the church bells, so it ties back sonically, and the whole. Yeah, I don't know. It made the most sense to me overall.
Yeah, the imagery is more
Actually,
consistent.
you know what? This is my favorite song on the record. I'm changing it. Screw
There
composure.
you go.
Throw it out. Doesn't exist. This is the best song on the record. Josh and
Nice.
TJ, have we gotten to y'all's favorite songs yet? Abishai, I guess you too. I haven't. I don't know why I just ignored
I
you
think
in
TJ
that
said-
specifically.
TJ said Blinding Light, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I think the Blinding Light is my favorite.
Blinding Light.
But this one is a strong contender too, I think, especially listening to it now and analyzing the lyrics.
It's pretty
Strong.
good. Abishai, have we gotten to your favorite song on the record yet?
I either think Backburner or the next track, 11th Hour.
Okay.
That's also the other ultimate air drumming song.
Nice.
Wait. Track number
This is the
7,
one.
The 11th Hour.
Dude,
Those chops, man. Ugh,
It's my favorite intro on the record.
so good.
Can you imagine if there was a version that they just like, because it's like one bar where it's just Matt doing drums. What if they did like 4 bars? Would you be like, when's the rest of the band coming in? Or would you be like, yeah, Matt, do your thing, man? Like, there's a long version where it's just like him doing
I
it
would love for him to just
45
do-
seconds of just drums.
I would, yes.
I think I'd be into that.
I would,
I'd be okay with it.
especially if he's playing that fast and that tight.
Yeah.
Just doing those like.
It's great. Abishai's in another realm over here. He's air drumming, like so locked in.
dude, I told you, this is the one.
It is really great.
Pretty good.
We haven't talked like much about like, and we've mentioned that like obviously they're all excellent musicians,
hmm
but like where does Matt Greiner like stack up in just like against other metal drummers and just like other drummers? Like where is he in that echelon?
Ooh.
It's a good question.
It's tricky. When I was 16, I thought he was the best drummer that ever existed.
Right.
Like, I had a lot of respect for him just because, like, I'd never really heard like this. I heard this record. I'd only been playing drums for like a year, and so when this record came out, well, it was the record before this, Thrill Seeker. I think it came out 2005. I'd only been playing drums for like a year, and when that record came out, I was like, this drummer is the most insane drummer I've ever heard. And I think I just got like a double kick pedal. So
Mm,
And he's probably like 20 when he's doing that record, right? He's like so young.
yeah, he was super
Crazy.
young. I think even that one, I think he was younger. And then when I don't know how old they were when this record came out, like 2 years later. But I just like had a lot of like interest. Like I thought like how he wrote drum parts were very interesting. Like rhythmically, how he fills space.
yeah.
When like it needs to be a super energetic part, it's really energetic, really like sometimes like chaotic just to like bring energy. And then the use of a china, I've never heard that before, like in breakdowns. Like we're just like a really heavy part and it's just like
Yeah.
I just think he has a really like creativity wise, I think he stacks up really, really high for me
Mhm.
in metal drummers, because I think a lot of metal drummers would default to just like how fast can I play and how like
Right.
crazy can I play, how fast can my feet go,
Yeah.
and they do a lot of similar fills, like just a lot of rolls.
Right.
And I feel like he actually will write like interesting drum parts.
that are not the same from song
Yeah.
to song. Like there's like
Yeah,
thought and intention that goes
Yeah.
into each one.
yeah, there's like dynamic to it. It's like he's writing the part to the riff instead of just being like, oh, we should have blast beats over this part. It's like, oh, if blast beats are the best, drum part that like fits this riff, then sure. But if
Right.
not, then what does fit the part? Like what serves the part the best?
Yeah, to your point, this like listen for me through like this listen through to this album was the first time in our podcast covering a metal album that I was like, this drummer is a featured player as much as, if not more than, the guitar. Like it almost is
Yeah.
virtuosic like a guitar.
That's what I've appreciated about August Burns Red. Like overall, I've always connected more as a drummer than a guitarist, like to the drum parts
To the
more
band.
than anything
Yeah.
else. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's why this record is so special. Yeah, to me specifically, because like like there are some lyrical stuff that stick out, and obviously there are cool guitar parts. But like
No, this is a
I've
drum
heard this.
record for sure.
Yeah, I've heard this record so many times, and I couldn't tell you half of the lyrics,
Right.
just the ones that like are obvious. And even listening through this time, I was like, I didn't really even pay attention to like
right.
anything. It's all rhythmic for me, and I think that's why I liked it.
Yeah, you really hooked into those drum parts and like they resonated with you.
Yeah, it feels purposeful. Like even that last breakdown in the 11th hour, the fill goes from like 16th notes to 16th note triplets, and then the last breakdown is like in that triplet feel,
Crazy.
which is like, oh, like how would you even think to transition that? It's like
Right.
like the very last bar, it switches to triplets, and then yeah, the whole ending breakdown has that more swingy kind of triplet vibe. But I just think like little things like that, the more I listen to them, like, oh, that sounds very purposeful. Instead of just like, hey, play a really crazy fill here. It's like, oh, how can we transition this part to this part?
Yes.
Okay. I may cut this. I'm not 100% sure, but I am curious, Abishai, if you had to have Matt listen to Overseer, Wolves at the Gate, if hypothetically we were to get him on our show this summer to do a specific episode on the top 10 best drum songs within Christian music from the 90s and 2000s, which song would you present to him as the one he should maybe consider?
Just any band, like any
Of yours.
Oh, of mine.
Your
Yeah.
drum
And it has to be from
He's putting
it
you
has to
on
be
the
from
spot,
the early
man.
2000s.
I'm putting you on the spot. That's why I'm saying I might cut this, but I've been talking with him about him and I can't remember the other guy. They have a podcast called The Holy Ghost Note, and we're doing a crossover episode. We're trying to do a crossover episode of them this summer about the best drum moments from Christian music of the last 30 years.
So you're saying
So-
what would
That's
Abishai
incredible.
present as his
Yes,
best drum moment?
what would you present as like this is what I would present as my like best
Top of your resume. Yeah.
yeah.
It has to be from that era though. Or
It has
like
to
Give or
be you.
take
It
5
has to be you.
years.
No, what you've done.
Yeah, just any
Oh, man.
anything that you've done.
I think it would have to be the second Overseer record. It's called Rest and Let Go.
Okay.
Probably the title track. It's called Fragile Wings, or like the first track.
Why that one?
Because the most of the song is in 5/4, and it's very interesting. It's like
Nice.
a lot more ability to have fun rhythmically.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
I think that, yeah. There's also a song called Paper Thin Houses that I was really proud of how everything turned out.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think, yeah, probably, or no. Yeah, probably Fragile Wings if
Right.
I submitted if that was my
Right.
own.
Right.
That's
Fragile Wings is
tricky
gonna be-
though. I would
It's gonna be. I'm gonna
Fragile
put that
Wings.
as my one seed in our bracket.
Oh geez.
No pressure.
Don't embarrass me. You should ask him about if you get him on the podcast, you should ask him about the time that he rode with us to a show that we played in Nashville, and then me and him did a drum solo together.
Nice.
Okay.
Ooh, that sounds.
It
like
was
it's got some
very
potential.
fun. Oh, there was a lot. It was an interesting tour. Like we did a long tour with him. It was like a 6-week tour, and they were gonna have a few off days, and we were like a younger band, and we just needed to make money. So we're like, oh, let's just fill one of the off days with a show. And he was just like, yeah, he's like, I'll like want to hang out with you guys. Like, I'll ride with you to your show. And in that, we're like, okay, cool, yeah, cool. And I remember very specific moments about that day because he helped us load in our gear. And I don't know if he knew how it came across, but he picked up something to bring in and was like, this is so weird. He's like, I don't remember the last time I had to like carry gear. Because they have like techs and stuff that help them.
Right.
That's so.
And we were kids. I was like 22 probably at the time. And he was like, he's like, I can't remember the last time I like had to carry gear into a venue. And we're just like, we have to do this every day. And then
That's great.
so Griner and their bass player Dustin did a drum like duet every night. And so when he came with us to that show, we did the duet at our show, which is
That's rad.
Yeah.
Nice.
it was fun. Ask him about it if he remembers it. He might not.
All right. I'll be sure to embarrass you. Let's move on to track number 8, The Balance. Full disclosure, I have no more notes for this record. This might be the earliest I tapped out. Usually I just forget the last song. But it just like, it is what it is, man. You know what I mean?
We've kind of talked about everything.
Yeah.
Kylan, it was just that all these ideas kept swimming, running through your head.
Is that a lyric reference? I didn't even... Oh, yeah.
That's the very first lyric.
Amazing. I do remember there's a moment in this song that in a breakdown the guitars pan hard left and right, and it goes back and forth, which is cool.
I didn't catch that.
It was just like more of a production moment, but
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, they do it a little bit. They go back and forth right before that quick "we'll drown them with this fix."
yeah,
It's not like hard panned. It like it sways
Wobbles
back and forth
a little bit.
Yeah.
Josh, you said you like this one?
Oh, yeah. This was one I liked a lot.
Poor Josh.
I'm trying to save my voice for
His
like
voice
the
is in
end.
the lyric graveyard, man.
I don't have much notes left, but I'm also trying to like not just be on the podcast
throat.
being like, so guys, what do you think of this one?
Hey, I like this song.
Were you the
Let me tell
vocalist?
you all my
Yeah.
let me tell you all my thoughts about this one, guys.
the throat graveyard.
That's it.
I like that guitar line right there around like 140 feels very like a little more major key, kind of like screamo
Yeah.
metalcore kind of thing than like straight metal the way a lot of this record was.
Yeah, it definitely stands out a bit.
Yeah, I wrote that I liked that it
Yeah.
it went a little major at the end of the song.
Honestly, I kind of wish that they had flipped side B and side A of this record. Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
think I generally enjoy the second half of this record, but I've got a little bit of metal fatigue
worn out.
by the time it
Yeah.
comes around. Yeah, I'm a
Totally.
little bit worn out.
Maybe you need that in the second half though to keep you going to the end.
Well, no, I personally don't. I need it at the beginning.
I did really like the last like third of this song a lot. Like the whole
Yeah.
all the sections felt like they flowed really well together, and they're heavy.
Yeah.
And big 808s.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think
Yes.
that's the first that I've really heard on this record.
There's a few little ones, but I think that was like a massive one. Like
Yeah.
you can feel it.
They
Like if you listen to it on
pushed
speakers, it's
way
like
up.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't really heard that. I hadn't or picked up on it on the rest of this record.
It's our good buddy Troy Glessner mastering.
Did he master this
Troy.
record?
He did, yeah.
Ah, nice.
Bringing that fire.
I feel like he mastered a lot of solid state stuff in that.
He did.
era. I
Yeah,
think
we had him.
Oh, yeah.
We had him on the podcast recently. That episode hasn't come out yet, but
Oh, nice.
He
I
does
think he
constantly.
mastered. I think he mastered one of our.
I think he did your
records.
first 2 records, the Overseer ones.
Yeah.
probably. And he probably doesn't remember it. He told us he doesn't remember mastering.
No,
They're Only Chasing Safety. He doesn't remember like mastering any of them. He's like,
that's
I think he
insane.
told the story of like he was in a friend's car like in LA and a song came on the radio or something. He's like, oh, this sounds cool. What is this? And his friend's like, you mastered this record. He's like, oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Like he doesn't remember like
you
any,
imagine?
but he's so
Because
good.
he's just churning
How
out
many?
records left
How
and
many
right.
drugs? How many drugs do you think he's on?
right.
I think it was just like,
It's probably just because
high
he
of
mastered
sound.
5 records a week.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just has to churn and burn.
Crazy.
All right, guys, let's move on to track number 1,000. What are we at? Track
But also,
number
don't you
9.
think he was on drugs?
Track number 9, Black Sheep.
All my notes. The only note I wrote on this was bad transition, and I think it's between the first and the second riff.
Yeah.
I think it's after this into the next part. It's like it really is jarring. Like
Yeah.
this isn't.
The more jarring it is, the more mathy it is, guys.
Oh. That's
No,
an
it's just
interesting
doesn't-
cutting
perspective,
off puzzle
actually.
pieces. It's
It
just
doesn't
cutting
have to
off
make
puzzle
sense.
pieces.
That's that. You're like,
You're like,
Wait.
"Oh, what?
What are we doing now?
I know. Well, it just stresses me out listening to this because, like, there's no way in hell I could keep any of this straight.
No, I
No,
can't imagine
me
trying
neither.
to play it.
Like,
Which I am like, I respect these guys because they
Yeah,
can do it.
Very much.
And they
Right.
have at this point in their they just came out with an album last week. It's like
Yeah.
their 9th or 10th record in their catalog. Like, but they can still play all these songs, and so that's very impressive to me.
as the resident vibe guy, I'm like, this just sounds like, I don't know. It just stresses me out to think about like having to think about playing so much.
Yep. Me too.
Like that's why I've just been listening to like country music for the last 4 years. I'm like just like 3 chords.
Crunchy
That's
music?
it. I got it. What?
Crunchy.
all
Crunchy
you
music.
listen to is crunchy music.
Country music.
Yep.
Country music, boy.
Oh, I thought you.
I do live in Oregon, but I listen to
That makes
country
more
music.
sense.
Not
Crunchy music.
Like I love fish, guys.
Really?
No, not at all. All their songs are too long.
Yes, they
I
are.
like a 2-minute song. That's what. So I just
What
did a deep dive.
do you listen to like really fast, like hardcore bands, like old school, like
Sometimes.
hardcore? That's like minute and a half.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, I'll do more of the like I love like Minor Threat and Rites of Spring. Like I love the like DC like emo core stuff, but a lot of the like
Yeah.
super fast hardcore. No, I'm just like, I don't know. I just, my wife and I just did a deep dive on, we listened to like every single Waylon Jennings album. And what I
Nice.
love about all those records is like 10 songs, 28 minutes. That's it. Like you're
Yeah.
in and you're out, man. It's like, it's perfect.
But
But
does
he was
Waylon
also
Jennings
recording like 1 a year or 2 a year. Like
Right. Yeah. No, he would come out with like 2 a year for like 25 years.
Yeah.
So it
Would
was
it
a
be
lot to
better if
get
it was
through.
28 seconds?
Maybe.
But does
No.
Waylon Jennings have these nasty guitar harmonics going on?
He might. When he went through his metal phase.
I just
and-
wanted to bring that up while we were listening to that part because I thought it was really cool. I was,
Yeah.
Really cool.
I was trying to
No,
talk
this-
about the album
this is-
that we're covering.
I know. I just realized that we're doing something here. Are we doing a show? This was one of the ones like in the
I just
middle.
have no more notes.
It's okay.
In the middle, it had that very like Norma Jean vibe of the end of Memphis, maybe laid to waste. And I like yeah, I remember when it came on, I was like, this was a certain era that you wanted to bring in the closed hi-hat kind of tom
Right.
and kind of
Yep.
just a lot of space, kind of eerie.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Bring in
Yeah.
the little like ghost child harmonies.
Bring in the banshees and the goblins and ghouls,
Goblins
and
and
just
ghouls.
just
Get
make some
spooky.
really dark. Yeah.
I don't really have notes on this song, but a note that I had from composure that I didn't say.
Poor Josh. He's like
Did I
four
just blow
songs
past
behind
you?
already.
Seven songs later.
We talked too long about that record and about that song, and I was like, I can just talk about it later because it's we'll have plenty of time. But I did watch there's a video. I'm sure there's more of JB doing like a playthrough of that song, and like just watching him play that song is nuts. Like he's all over the fretboard on that song.
Yeah.
So like
Nice.
it can get like obviously you can get a little more like worn down and ear fatigue like listening to it, but then like watching it just like reignites like my respect to be like, dang, these songs may kind of all sound the same, but like they're still like crazy technical.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
They are crazy technical.
Not that that had anything to do with this song.
this was also crazy technical. All right, guys, we
true.
have 2 songs left. We have 2 songs,
Let's
and then
do it.
and then we're done. We never have to speak again.
I probably won't be able to.
Yeah. Track number 10, An American Dream.
This is other ear candy moments. I think at like around 1 minute, it says something like, you're breathing underwater or something,
Right.
and there's like
Mhm.
breaths like panning left and right.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that. I thought that was really
Yeah, it's
that
like
was a
really
nice touch.
moments like that. For me, in like 2007, to be like, oh yeah, like you're talking about water. Let's like
Right.
some little sprinkles of people gasping for air.
Right. Adding texture, performative texture to match
Yeah.
the lyrical themes. Pretty rad.
Yeah, exactly.
This does feel like lyrically like the anti what was the song from that Pillar record?
Indivisible.
Indivisible. Yeah, this
It
feels like
is.
the anti-indivisible.
It feels like divisible.
It's the
yeah.
antithesis. Oh man.
Because I like that. I like,
Invisible.
yeah, I like that. I don't know. Lyrically, I did like this song. It felt like a kind of a critique of the whole like evangelical American nationalism thing. I don't have.
No, I thought
Anything
this
else
was like
about
the
this,
most
but-
engaging lyrics that we'd had in the last couple
Mhm.
songs.
It felt like the most like the tightest. Like here's an idea. We're gonna
Yeah.
follow this idea through to the end instead of just like back burner, ice, spilling, water. Here's stuff. Like it felt like from beginning to end, it felt like it had one idea that it was going for. So
No, I agree. The only lyric in this song that I wasn't crazy about was the spoiled rotten, or we've brainwashed our children to believe this is destiny. Spoiled rotten, still counting their 1, 2, 3s, because that just felt like low hanging fruit. Like, but then what
I
changed
loved
a
it
little bit
because
for
that's
me-
as high as I can count.
Well, that's Kylie needed that to play
We
the
know.
tear drum to this record.
Yeah.
Sorry,
and,
continue.
And it matches up. Well, I was just gonna say what made it work though is like at the end they kind of turn it on its head a little bit and say we've become spoiled rotten, counting our 1, 2, 3s. So like bringing in a we dynamic and making it about like even just like adults in society, like not just saying, not just like talking about them or like children,
right.
but bringing the child analogy to like on a societal level, kind of like bringing that critique to a community or a society. That made it work for me a little better. It felt a little more thoughtful, which is cool.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
Sorry. I hear my daughter playing drums in the living room,
Ooh,
and it's
so
weirdly
sick.
kind of
Griner.
matching
She
up
going-
to the song.
is she going Griner
She's
on
going
us?
on the toms, just like
Nice.
dut, 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 dut. Yeah,
Is she gonna be a metal drummer?
I think so, man.
probably.
Yeah, let's go.
It is weird. She is hitting cymbals like right when they are in my ears.
That's
amazing.
crazy.
This was like the only there at 305 is like the only time I feel like the bass was like really featured on this record.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Is like you get, and it's a pretty simple part. I'm like, is this the first like sweet sweet bass? But it's like the first
It's-
like time where it stands out.
It's the first real sweet bass of the record. Yeah.
Even though nothing like is really crazy is happening on the bass,
Yeah.
but at least you like
But it's
hear
featured.
it very well. Yeah.
Well, that's a big part of sweet bass. It doesn't have to be like a blow your mind sick riff. It's just like, oh, okay, the bass is like pretty forward.
You're
in the
gonna have
mix.
you're gonna have to go back and listen to the first track with those riffs. You can hear the bass hitting all those beep 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 beep. Beep. It's crazy.
well, he's hitting it with it, but it's like there's not a lot of moments on the record where the bass
Where it's, like,
stands
highlighted.
out.
Just bass.
Yeah, where it's like
Yeah.
the bass part separate from other
Sticking
parts
out.
that are happening.
Right. That is cool though.
A bass solo.
Yeah.
It's like a bass solo.
Yeah.
Bass solo.
But and it just but
Yeah, it's so simple.
That's it. That's all you need, man. That's all you need.
like you're not even gonna slap it.
Kylan's catchphrase isn't complicated bass, it's sweet bass.
Sweet bass.
That's true.
Okay, guys, we have one more track and then we're done.
We got
Can't
it.
believe
Let's
we've
go.
made it. Okay, here we go. Last track on this record. Track 11. Redemption.
I think this is the only one where like lyrically it feels. I don't know, like the whole record didn't really have a theme, but this is definitely the more overtly obvious, like
Yup.
Christian. Yeah.
Christian
Mhm.
based lyrically.
Yeah.
Like,
And it makes
forward.
sense to, yeah, I feel like this was also like kind of a trend around this time of like, we'll make our
Yeah.
last track like that's like our worship track.
Yeah.
Like you could transpose these lyrics onto like a Hillsong song. And we're gonna make this song
Pretty
way
much.
too long.
Yep.
Well, for some bands, I almost felt like they used it as like it's like a punchline. It's like, oh, we can be as metal as we want, and then at the end we'll get them and we'll be like, hey, by the way, we're Christian.
Right.
Gotcha.
I think we talked about that on an episode like way long ago of
Yeah.
that like obsession with like Christian bands of being like, gotcha, you're Christian now.
Yep.
If you enjoyed this, you're a Christian.
Surprise. It's a backdoor pilot to Christianity.
Yeah.
Welcome,
I
friend.
got you. You didn't even realize it was like the Trojan horse.
Those blast beats
Yeah,
were
exactly.
distracting you, and you didn't know we were evangelizing the whole time.
And you're like, oh, that's what Messengers is about.
You're like, oh, Holy Ghost notes.
Oh, got it. Oh, okay.
Let's open up this pulpit.
I guess I'm on board, y'all. I guess I'm a Christian. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Cool.
Got me. I'm a Christian now.
We'll get
Thanks, August Burns Red. Shucks.
Open up this pulpit. That might be my favorite quote from this episode.
Yeah, that's great.
I do like this song.
I will say, I think this is my other contender between Composures being my favorite.
Nice.
Because I feel like it has more just kind of like regular rock guitars. Like there is a chord progression. There's like
Yeah.
chords ringing out kind of stuff, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
I do have like a specific memory of like driving around in the summer in high school whenever like this song, like when I first like realized like, I don't know, where this first song like made an impact on me. And like I've always like really liked it. And so like I can listen to it and just like remember like where I was driving in my parents' like Suburban with the windows down in the summer, like being like, oh, this is a good song, like good way to end the record. So it's one of my faves.
The most metal way to listen to August Burns Red is in your parents' Suburban, I think.
It is. It is. And the speakers were kind of blown out because I played music too
Yeah.
loud in it. So
Otherwise, you're not doing it right. The speakers have to blow a
true.
little bit. No, and it's anthemic. It's a great closer. It's strong.
Yeah. It feels it's like the most palatable song.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel as like all over the place. Yeah.
Right.
Just
mhm.
more of an anthem.
structurally. Yeah.
It's like definitely the closing track. Like it has that feel
Yeah.
to
It
it.
feels like a finale
Yeah.
for sure.
Yes, for sure. There's gang vocals in it. That's always fun.
Yeah, the gang vocals, man. I was here for those.
Oh, yeah.
Those were great.
This is also the longest song on the record.
It's so
but
long.
It's a good one.
It's so long. It is a really good album. I'm okay. We've talked about
This
this
is
before.
it's 3 times as long as it should be, according to Kyle.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what?
Yeah.
I do usually give exception for long songs if it's the last song on a record. I can usually
Yep.
like
You can abide.
get down on it. Like I get it. It's like your closer, man. Like,
That makes sense.
yeah, this was a good song.
I liked it a lot. How terrible is my voice sound now?
You sound like you're dying. You're gonna
Okay.
croak at any minute.
I've been
Yeah.
trying to like hold off. I want to talk about some stuff, but I'm like, should I just not? So it's not terrible.
No, do it. You gotta blow your
just
blow
like
out your
just
voice
like
for
at
the
the
podcast.
end, just for at the end or whatever.
Well, Josh, maybe you just need purity to fill your lungs.
Man, it sounds great right now. I wish. I would love some of that. Pour me a glass of that, Jake.
Okay, well, we did it. We listened to Messengers by August Burns Red. So I want to get into kind of final thoughts and final flop or bop. What's the word? I never remember the word.
Verdicts.
We
Assessment.
do predictions, assessment. Sure. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Okay. So for me, I feel like in this episode I was like pretty critical of this record. Kind of like we talked about before, there's not a ton of cohesion. It does feel kind of all over the map. It feels like a riff graveyard. It's just, but I think it is what it is. You know what I mean? And I do think it was a really important record. And for all of that, I think when I just kind of like put it on to play mosh pit with my daughter or to like do the dishes or whatever, or whenever, if I borrow my mom's Suburban and I want to drive
Exactly.
around, it's like the perfect record to put on. I'm going to give it a bop, guys.
Wow, cool.
I do think all the songs are kind of the same. And I don't know, should we cover August Burns Red again if I will give the other albums the same sort of latitude that I did on this one? But this one goes down in my book as a bop.
It's interesting you say that because in my mind, it's like they're only getting better, right, as the albums come out after this one. And so I'm curious if we do continue to cover more albums of theirs, whether you'll find some different things to like nitpick enough to flop a record that's maybe technically better than this
That's
one,
true.
even.
That's true. But this one, I did have a good time listening to it. It was fun to jam out to some metal this week. So
and that's a big part of
it-
your assessment. That's
exactly.
That's your bop criteria. So it makes sense.
My big thing is, if I'm gonna find myself listening to this record again at some point in the next year, and I think I will. Especially now, it's like getting warmer here. It's definitely like
Now that your daughter wants to play mosh pit.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you're gonna teach
And
Willow the drum parts.
she's already got them. I can hear it. I can hear it in the other room. So,
Nice.
sweet. Okay, who did I say was next?
Me
TJ or Abishai?
Yeah.
All right, TJ, what you got, buddy?
So you razzed me a little bit at the beginning of the episode about being consistent because we talked about the kind of like song parts and like the ADD.
Only because you razzed me, buddy. I was just razzing back.
I know. Well, I was actually complimenting you because you were being consistent, and then you razzed me. But it's fine. And my response that I've been just like sitting on this whole time factors in to my assessment. And so that is that if August Burns Red was a chamber folk band, I would probably bop this record because I can do the ADD like song ideas just every 30 seconds changing 7/8, 12/8,
Right.
9, whatever. Abishai, name some more time signatures and tempos. What was it?
You hear me? 11/8.
11/8. Thank you. Yeah, even better. 5/4. I can contend with all that and really get down with it. If there's like an oboe and it's a guy like kind of whisper crooning,
In Japanese.
in the metal context, in Japanese, exactly.
That's what this record sounded like. I don't know what you're talking about.
Did we listen to the same thing?
I went right from
Damn, man.
Anathalo into this record. So.
Was I wandering through the lyric graveyard while y'all listened to a totally different record without me?
Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah. So when I wandered out, I had to flop this record, unfortunately. But I would bop a short EP of "Truth of a Liar," "The Blinding Light," and "Redemption." 3 songs. I would bop that.
That's like a
Nice.
single. That's not even
a promo
an EP.
EP.
Yeah.
Well,
that's-
the songs are long.
it's like a
so
single.
Depending on how long the runtime is. Maybe I'd throw Vital Signs in there too. Throw Vital Signs in there. So
okay. All right.
I'd bop
makes
that
it
because I
an
wouldn't
EP.
get metal fatigue, and I would still really appreciate all the
Right.
chops. And those were the stronger songs lyrically for me, which y'all know is a big deal for me. I'd come back to that, and I'd enjoy that. So yeah,
Okay.
that's my assessment.
You know, not wholly unpredictable flop
No,
on your part, but I appreciate you listening through the record. with
yeah,
us.
man, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right,
thank you so
Abishai,
much.
What about
I
you,
thought about
buddy?
you multiple times while I
Yeah,
was listening
I
to
did
this
too. I
wonder what
specifically
TJ's doing
had
right
that
now.
conversation with Jen this morning because I was playing it while we were having breakfast. I was like, "There's no way TJ bops this record."
You called it. You knew.
Yeah,
But it was
all right,
fun.
Abishai. What about you? What are your final thoughts? Flop or bop?
Man.
What do you think?
Yeah, bring it.
I feel like it's hard. I feel like the whole record has a lot of really strong moments, and like listening back to it, there were only like a few songs as a whole that like really like held up over time for me.
Right.
Mm.
If I were to just base it off of, you know, rhythmically or just drums, because I'm biased, I would be like, yeah, I would listen to this record all the time.
Right.
Because I think it's sick. But I think listening to it for this to kind of like be a little critical and to pick it apart and to view it as a song as a whole, I was like, I don't know if it's my caveman brain. You know, you get older and you know, kind of listen to more music and you have like an expectation of what a song should be or like what structure should be or what you should expect, or you like
Right.
you want to hear a chorus, you want to hear more melody.
Yeah.
I think by the end of the record, it was like, man, the fact that there's no singing on this is like, it's pretty harsh
Right.
for, at least for like people who don't listen to metal a lot.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the older I've gotten, the less, you know, less metal that I listen to.
Right.
So it's hard for me to say one or the other, but I would say rhythmically still a bop.
Hmm.
Song wise, I would have to say flop.
Yeah, it's just because it's all these just like little pieces, and it doesn't feel. Yeah, I totally get that. That's
Yeah,
a
that
really
makes a lot of sense.
interesting, like nuanced take on this. Of like you want, because I find myself like, you know, listening to country music and stuff. It's like I want to go more towards like those things that my ear can hook into. I don't want to work as hard necessarily, like when I'm listening to music.
Well, and like that emotion that is evoked out of the type of music that this is hits hard when you're like in your late teens or early 20s. Like there's a lot of emotion there, and that's good and right and
sure.
normal. And then yeah, I mean, let's be honest, the older we get, the more like tired, grumpy. I'll speak for myself. The more tired, grumpy old man I am. And it's harder to like appreciate that same emotional energy, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I think I get it. Like it's on purpose because, you know, it is like counterculture. It's like, you know,
Right.
punk music and metal music. Like you don't want to stick to a song structure. It's like, oh, let's just throw in a riff here. It doesn't even matter. Like we don't even need a chorus. We don't even need to repeat any part in this whole song.
Right.
It's avant-garde.
Because it doesn't matter. Because like that's why we write music, is because like we can write it any way we want.
yeah.
And there's like a part that I can respect about that, but I think
Totally.
as a listener over time, you want to hear familiarity. Like you want to hear something like you want to hear a hook, you want to hear a melody,
Yeah.
you want to hear a chorus that like you can sing the next time it plays. And
Yeah.
with this record, there's
Yes.
very, very few moments that repeat. So it's always like you're introduced to a new part. There's a
Right.
new riff that you're hearing for the first time, and you're like, you know, it takes a second for your brain to process it, and then it goes to another part, and then it goes to another part, and you're like, oh, I'm just your brain. Like I said, I don't know if it's like you've been conditioned for like pop structure of like you're just waiting to hear a moment that you've heard before that
Right.
feels familiar, that your brain can like almost like relax and be like, oh, cool, like
Yeah.
I've heard this before. It feels familiar. It's like comfortable. And this is it's like tension the entire song because it's just boom,
You're
boom,
like,
boom,
what's
boom,
gonna-
just
what's-
like
Kind of
what's
the
coming next?
opposite.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like machine gun up. So I think overall it like there's so many cool moments and so many cool parts, and it's still like a very cool like record for my like history of playing drums, but
Yeah.
I like heard it in a very different way listening to it.
That's been the weirdest thing about this show of taking these albums that we like grew up with and just have nostalgia for and like having to like dig into them in a like critical
Critically,
way.
yeah.
Always just like it always feels really weird. Like it was
Yeah.
the hardest for us doing The Question by Emery. It was like so hard to like try to listen to that record critically. Of
Oh,
like,
yeah.
okay, I want to like separate out these parts. I want to figure out like what they're talking about because when I listen to it, I just am like 16 again. And
Yeah,
I'm
you're just
like,
vibing.
just driving around listening to it, like listening to that record. So yeah, I get that. That's awesome. That's fascinating to me. It's super cool.
But I like that you can separate the components of the record, Abishai, and be like, rhythmically, it's a bop. Overall, I've got some issues with it.
That's a real TJ move.
Yeah.
It is. I appreciate it.
It really is.
It's a page out of my book.
It's
man.
really hard. It's
is.
hard to say. Yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
to say one way or the other.
Yeah.
I get that. Okay, Mr. Death himself.
Graveyard Josh.
What you got?
Desert Throat.
I'm walking back out of the Riff Graveyard. There's some good stuff in there, guys.
Okay.
You might want to use some of that, Abishai. I do have a statement prepared, so I will
Wow.
apologize in advance. Let's see if I can hang on for the last part. So, do most ABR songs sound the same? Yes. But I think they do like that one song very well.
Right.
And I think what separates them from just like another band that's just like fans like this record will just recreate a record, or like when record labels are like, just do that again kind of thing. Because like I know I've heard from the guys on like podcasts and just like interviews and stuff like that. I know that they are always like constantly pushing themselves as musicians to write more complex parts, and like they'll write parts for records that they can't play with the idea that like when we go to record this, like I have to
need to
make
learn
sure
how
I
to
can
play it.
play this like
Right.
as a way of just improving yourself as a musician.
Respect.
And I think that's what separates them from just being like a band that's like, we're just making the same record over again. Like each record may sound similar, like sonically,
But they're improving.
but it's
a step up every time.
it's a challenge for them every time. They're challenging themselves. They're bettering themselves. They're getting better at their craft. Their craft isn't changing a ton, but it is. And I think like for me personally, there's a lot of that. Like I wish there was more like dynamic vocals. I wish there was some clean vocals. I wish there was some more differing like guitar parts. I wish there was like some slower parts like that you could like help differentiate the songs. But I came to like a moment of realization where it's like, that's just August Burns Red. And like when
Yeah.
you want that, you can go to August Burns Red and you know you're going to get that. And like they are going to deliver it in full. And that's just what they do. And they do it arguably like they do it
Better than
with some of the
anyone. Yeah.
best and better than a lot of other people. And you know, that's fine. And like, that's not what I want to listen to all the time. But like, if I ever want to, I know that they're going to do that.
It's like Waffle House.
It's like
Yeah,
Waffle House,
exactly. You heard it here.
It's like
first,
it's like a
folks.
it's a fail safe. You know it. You know exactly what you're gonna get. You know, do you want to eat Waffle House every day? Absolutely not. But when you go there, you know what you're
exactly what
expecting.
It delivers.
You
Yeah.
know what you're getting. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not trying to be like a thrice level of musical evolution, but they're cool with being what they
of
are.
like
in-
of
in-
of like
in that.
taking what they do and like drilling down into it
Honing
it.
and
Yeah.
getting better at that specific
and
thing. Yeah.
and their fan bases too. Like I know
Yeah.
the fan base, like even like the new ABR, everyone like loves it. Like all the new ABR stuff, people are still crazy about it, and I'm like, I think that says a lot about them. So
Yeah.
personally, and like there, it's hard to like critically assess this record because like this is all the same thing. But I enjoyed it. I have a lot of fond memories of jamming this in high school and even like into college with ABR. So I had a good time. There's enough songs peppered in that like stick out to me
can
to
kinda
kinda,
keep
like,
you going.
get me going to the next two songs to be like, I know Composure's coming up. I know The Balance is coming up. I know like Redemption at the end is gonna like really bring it home. So bop for me.
All right. All right. Well,
Nice.
Josh, I'm gonna
Big Bop.
save you.
Send
from
me
having
back to the riff graveyard.
Yeah, send it back to the riff
continue
graveyard. See if you can
talking.
find some waffles
Yeah.
for us in there.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
look
maybe
for
a glass of
some
water. Golly.
I drank this whole
I know
thing.
that's
so
the whole
Jay.
thing. Josh just needs water. He's just very dehydrated. He's actually
Like-
fine. He just is very thirsty. Okay, sweet. So I think we did it. Abishai, do you have anything you wanna? I think we did this in part A. Is there anything you wanna share with people? I know. Josh, when is this coming out again?
This will be June, early mid-June.
Mid-June.
Yeah. Are you guys like Wolves at the Gate doing anything around then? I know you guys are playing Furnace Fest.
Not around then, but yeah, I'm playing Furnace Fest with Project 86.
Okay.
Wolves isn't playing
Nice.
this year, unfortunately, but I'll still be there. So if you're there, come say hey. Let's see, we have a live fest in Ohio,
Cool.
and then we are going to the UK for 4 dates for the first time
Oh,
in the
nice.
fall, and then we have a festival in Germany. So if you find yourself in either of those places and you want to come say hey,
Yeah, we weirdly have a huge German audience, so they're gonna love that.
sick. Yeah.
They can talk about time signatures with you. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, this will get you tons of German followers.
It will.
Just
It
watch
better.
your ratings. Watch your ratings in Germany just boost after
Just gonna
this.
skyrocket.
Blow up.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. Well, I think we're coming to the end of it. So, Abishai, thank you so much for coming on the show and bringing us this record. It was super rad talking to you. And for all of our listeners, if you enjoy this, we have more bonus content at patreon.com/churchjamsnow podcast. May all your favorite bands stay together, and peace out, Mon Frères.
Mon Frères.
Peace out.
Are you aware of the movement?
Hey, see you at the 20 year Bentonville High School reunion, Colin.
Yeah, maybe.
If you're invited.
Yeah,
get
I
it.
don't.